hyped up. Get hyped up.
Woo!
Get hyped.
Heavy breathe, heavy breathe, heavy breathe. Nothing. David's being quiet over there. Yo, what is up? You got Carter, you got Crawford, you got David Hayman in the house.
I'm super calm. I don't need to do this. Like
No hype,
flexing.
no
that you
hype,
guys
no
do.
flex.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
whoa, I slapped my
appreciate
chest
it.
a
Yeah,
bunch.
yeah. I did that in the parking lot. Like
Yeah, okay.
You listen to DriveWire radio.
Yeah, I'm really
Super.
excited about it. I guess we flexed too hard. I'm gonna have to talk
much
to.
flex.
I don't know if that was him. He was telling us to flex less.
No, let's keep the energy level up. Let's
So
keep it up.
what I love about this, man, you're doing music supervision. You're all over the board. You worked on Once for Brothers and at 13,000 Feet. Guest of Honors Clifton. You're working all over Utopia Falls. You're on Netflix, like Hulu, CBC. You got radio. You got ads. You got TV. You got videos. You got movies. Man,
I think there's a couple. You're like, yeah, I'm kidding.
I got a movie coming out too called
like,
States.
how
It's all happening.
How do you have this many things on the go? That's my first question. You have an impressive amount of stuff, and you have such a relaxed
I forego my
vibe.
physical health. I forego my mental health.
Both
My
very important.
family does not like me one bit.
Ah.
Shout out to my wife, my beautiful wife Allie and Ruby.
They're the support you need.
They're my everything.
There
But
we go.
you know, it is a hustle. It's all hustle because I have no talent.
Oh.
So I just always got to put the pedal to the metal and try and make things happen for other people. That's really the root of my job, is to elevate other people. And I can't stop doing it because the city's so full of talent.
Well, and so much around you all the time, and it's such
So
a
much.
feel-good feeling to help other people get, better and then exposure, and then it's such
Well,
a
it's not
big
just the
circle
film
effect.
and the music talent, it's the film talent too. People come
And
to
the
me
film,
with this
yeah.
great content. I can't say no. I have a problem how to do it.
I
I'll
gotta
do
do it.
every short film that looks cool, that stars someone. It doesn't matter if it's a short or a feature. I want to get involved in stuff that catches my eye.
This is good info for me. I think I got some groundbreaking ideas we can talk about after.
Oh, bring it on. But I love content. I've always thought content is everything, and I just, I guess I'm a hoarder that way.
Well, that's kind of what we've been saying a lot recently. Is, the
Yeah.
more we've talked with producers, even if we reference Zaddy or Middleton. They both said, or even words like Wildfire. I want to have 100 songs, then 10 of them will be good. But it's like all that content. You know what I mean? Like having-
Artists don't do that. Don't put out 100 songs.
No, never put out the 100. Never put out the 100.
My message here today is to make less music. No.
Oh,
Concentrate
make
on
one
good
song.
Make one good song. In fact, make one good song. Have you heard of the Songularity? That
No.
all songs will one day become one song. It's
Oh.
a beautiful concept. Each genre will have its own one song that defines the genre. It'll make my job beautifully easy.
So I want to talk about music supervisor and what that actually means. I really, one of the things that I appreciated about music school was it opening my eyes to how many jobs in music there are aside from being in a rock band.
It's like 4.
Yeah.
There's all the guitars, the bass, and the
Something.
drummer.
No, bass is not. If you're
A
paying
bass-
your bass player, I
Oh,
just
no.
started to learn to play bass. Can I
Oh,
just
no.
have public service announcement for anybody in bands? Don't play your bass player. They don't pay them.
They don't deserve it.
No. Pay them. They can do album art and stuff. There are other ways. There are other ways to monetize your friendship in your band. The bass player maybe can be a songwriter or something, but don't pay
But don't
somebody
pay him
just,
for
just
playing.
performing. No.
Oh, no.
Unless they have a band, and that's like the wild card.
See the
Only
bassist
pay
with
your
the band.
bassist if they have a band.
Or if they do cover art too.
Hey, bass is really easy, guys.
You heard it
no.
from David.
Really
from David
easy.
first.
Oh no.
You heard it from David first. Friend behind you is a bassist.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
He's just like, I give bass lessons weekly. You're telling me
No,
they
no.
shouldn't pay me? What is
Man,
this?
I got my first show coming up. It's at my shul, and I'm gonna be playing on the bima with my jogging pants. I'm gonna play either.
Oh no.
Yeah, either Smoke on the Water or Seven Nation Army.
Oh.
Can't decide yet. It's gonna be killer.
My vote's for 7-8.
Come out of
That's a good one,
Temple
yeah.
Har Zion in Thornhill. Be there.
Yeah. When's that happening?
I'm not quite booked yet.
We're trying to arrange it. We're in the talks.
I have, I still have to kind of show the rabbi what I'm doing and the whole set. But I believe in myself,
I
guys.
believe in you.
This is
Yeah, I believe it. I believe in you here.
Yeah, I have the support of my family. Shout out to my mom, my dad, and everybody who supports my bass playing. But don't pay your bass player. That's my big note for today.
Take one message away from today's show, ladies
That's
and
it.
gentlemen. Don't pay
Elevate,
bassists.
elevate the other people, bring them up, and don't pay your
So yeah, the
bassist.
four jobs in the music industry are singer, manager, music supervisor, and promoter. Right?
What about the
Close to
recording?
that.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
maybe 5.
Mixing,
Oh, yeah.
mastering.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Well, realistically,
Merch,
one thing I do love, in all seriousness though, I do love that my job as the supergroup, first of all, the cheeky name, it's the idea of bringing people together. It's about creating more supervisors, more people
Yeah.
that can facilitate all of the creative people that are involved in making film. And there are tons of people doing it on all sorts of levels. The talent in this city runs so deep in this country. And, to also facilitate the other side, the music,
Mhm.
to multiply myself so that there are other music supervisors. But our job is really right in the eye of the hurricane of collaboration, and that is why I love it. There are
Create the
so
storm
many
around.
jobs in film. There are so many jobs in music, so many aspects to making a career around an artist that you respect, or obviously making a career for yourself.
Mhm.
Putting together a team, though, is important, and having a team. There are many jobs that I would never have thought of coming up in
Like what?
film
Yeah,
business.
what was an example? Like,
I mean, you're talking like.
I mean, wardrobe maybe, because I know
Well,
that's one I would never think of.
In my
Some
office,
jobs.
I didn't know that a music supervisor existed. I went through film school. I did
True.
not know that the job existed. In my office alone, we have a coordinator, we have assistants who just do research.
Oh,
When you're
wow.
in a studio, you have a studio manager. The role of a producer alone is such an undefined, unspecified.
Yeah, it's
role.
all like, it's like you do one of everything.
It's exactly, you're like half coordinator, half wearing all hats, half hospitality, half arranger, and all boss.
Yeah.
And that's a real skill. A true manager, all these guys and girls out there that are doing it on this extra hard level, because as we know, you have to work twice as hard as a Canadian to get any kind of recognition.
Yeah.
And Canadians
we
are
gotta fight. We gotta fight.
We have been getting some nice recognition.
Yeah.
Granted, 2018 Toronto was called like the most, or the hub of diverse upcoming talent
Oh, interesting.
by Rolling Stone or something. Let's throw that out there.
Let's throw it up there.
I don't believe
No
everything
fact
is-
checkers,
No fact checkers, but there's, it's a fact that Toronto has been blossoming as
Yeah,
a city.
like-
And that is not because of purely the talent, that's because of the support around the talent. That's because of the people pushing them, making it possible for them to, like we were discussing before, living your life and like having a job and putting money in the bank.
Yeah.
And also developing yourself and putting it out on the line, on the other hand, so you can break through to the States and break through to the world.
Yeah, break into those other markets that will end up taking the world by storm at that point.
It's absolutely possible. Popular music, Daniel Caesar, Jesse Reyes, you're seeing them look to Toronto. Forget Drake even, but the lens is on Toronto right now.
Yeah, and Drake did have, as much as I've made him aware over the last couple months. I'm not the biggest fan of Drake.
Was that a thing on this
I
podcast?
mean, no, everyone here loves Drake. I love what he's done for Toronto. I think he's created an icon. I don't love his music, but it's no denying that 8 years ago what Drake created with Toronto wasn't there. He helped
Absolutely.
get the city on the map in a good way, and now people are continuing it. And
I always laugh so hard when Crawford brings up Drake
Let's
because
go
Brandon
on.
Dom's face drops.
They
Like,
love
they
him.
know what he's about to say, and they're just like, "Stop chirping."
Well,
Drake."
shouts to Boy Wonder.
He's great. He's phenomenal.
The
He's
music
phenomenal.
behind the man is what it's all about.
Exactly.
And I get the privilege of working with Boy Wonder and Nikhil Seetharam on a new show called Utopia Falls. So
Yeah.
Which
we love the hip hop community, and the lens that he's thrown on the hip hop community is wonderful.
Yeah.
What we need to stop doing is defining ourselves against that. I think too many people do. I think we've got to embrace the Drizzy,
Yeah.
The Drizzy, yeah,
It's just it is a
he's
real
happening.
thing. It's happening.
It's happening.
It's
Like,
there.
it's-
It's
yeah.
there. And he's putting that stake in the ground for us, and the people that are like haters gonna be haters, but love's gonna get you so much further in this business.
Absolutely.
And showing love and respect for people that have done things. If you don't like him, well, why and what has he done right? Because something clearly has been done right.
He's done so much right.
You talk a lot about elevating and love and helping other people and staying humble. Can you kind of shed light on your philosophy in regards to that? Like, how, that must have served you a lot in your life.
For sure. I mean, my philosophy is win-win for the win. I consider myself the middleman. I consider myself like the guy on the bridge. Maybe, and on both sides, there's people
Okay.
that want the best for their project. You have filmmakers desperately tolling away. keep going troll bridge. But no, I'm not the troll on the bridge.
You're on one
I'm
side,
good
the other,
guy.
and under the bridge.
I'm the
You're
bridge
all
keeper.
over.
I hate the term gatekeeper because it's not that. I'm just the bridge keeper, right? There's a bridge on both sides. On one side, there's people that are passionate about these films that they toil away on for years, and they work, and they're so dedicated to this as their life. On the other side, it's the music, and these people are so dedicated to what they do.
And they're looking to come together.
How do they come
Slow
together?
motion,
It's
yeah.
only through people like myself. So I can only achieve success when one side of the bridge has felt like they won. They got, a placement on a show, and they're very happy about, honestly, the fee that they got. And when they see it come up on air or on Netflix, they don't go, F, this is
Yeah.
like really, I should have gotten more money. And on the other side, the filmmakers feel like they got value. It didn't come at a cost to other creative modes in the film and ideas that they wanted to execute. And if they can both feel like they got what they wanted, then I'm happy.
Are you brokering the deal? So are you suggesting the price for the song?
We are.
Yeah, so you're the ones who are. Are you working on behalf of the artist or a filmmaker or both?
I'm working on behalf of the collaborative spirit of the project.
Of the project.
So you're Switzerland.
I am Switzerland with more lightning bolts. Yeah. Switzerland's not flashy enough for me.
What do you mean? So you're actually when they come with you. So let's just talk about Giants of Africa was one you did, and we talked about that on
We talked about that
just to
before.
keep it kind of
Sure.
more narrow. They send you the whole video. You're deciding, okay, kind of this is the vibe that I'm getting in each place. Are they saying this is my overall budget, make them fit and give us a whole idea back? Or
You have it very close. I mean, Hubert Davis, who's the director and I believe co-producer, they do a pass on the film. They do an assembly cut, and maybe there are some things they have triggered us to think about that they might want to put into certain sequences. They'll put that together, and through that, we'll be able to start speaking a language. I'll understand where the director's coming from,
where they're
what his
going.
point of reference is, his or her point of reference is, what their preference is, and find out, all this hypothetical talk about big songs, where does it actually fit into the film? And how can we turn that into what I like to call a tentpole? Are these big enough moments to throw all of our money behind? And then where does the rest of the soundtrack drape off of
Where
that?
does it fall? Yeah.
And as it drapes, it's going lower in fees and lower in stature, so we can make the whole circus work.
Yeah, we can make it work because we have the available to do it. Yeah,
Exactly.
interesting.
So we'll catch a vibe. We'll identify what's working and what's worth the spend. What our idea of what that cost might be beforehand, before we even officially go out for it. Then we'll, basically pitch alternatives to each and every scene that deserves either a better music choice because, not better, but it can elevate
it can make it the scene more impactful, or
For
yeah,
sure.
it can bring it out elements.
The director might have an idea that might be just pedestrian or serve the content to get the cut cleared, but they might ask specifically for
Want
something that
something more,
elevates,
yeah.
or like we were discussing before, something that specifically speaks to the region. And you
Yeah.
can say that this song from Mali is from Mali, this one from Uganda is from Uganda, Rwanda, etc. And we can also then elevate, like I said, folks in that community. We can help flesh out the story
Love that.
and keep it authentic. And by finding that authenticity, you're going to find the heart. You're going to find a cohesive sound.
Do you know the songs beforehand, or are you entirely like, okay, let's start Googling from this area, and then when we find one, then we have their vibe, then we go after that one?
Yeah, it's like a bit of research / knowing people who service that area.
Gotcha.
And then-
Connections, knowing your people. Again,
Exactly.
teamwork.
On Giants of Africa, it was a mix between some of the folks that I knew from Africa and Toronto, connecting ultimately to a guy named Chris Cunley who helped us out. And then we went to Modiba Records, who specifically deals in African music.
Oh, wow.
And started there. So,
It's just a chain reaction.
It's
You
a chain
connect one
reaction.
to another, and then
Shout
you
out to
kinda-
Light in the Attic Records and other record companies that are sort of restoring old music and keeping that stuff alive, that also then make it palatable for synchronization. So they put together all the rights holders and figured out all of that mystery behind it so it can go out there and be
Go out, yeah.
licensed, So a lot of partners in that project, but ultimately you do start from zero. Like, what do I know about African music? How do I start?
And where
I
do
do
I
have
go?
history on projects, but how to then zone in on specific regions. I've done work on Vice's The Wrestlers, and we had done a thing in certain African countries. I had done another project that was called Being Jewish, which is about Jews in Nigeria and Mali.
Interesting.
So yeah, so I had already kind of done the research, and again, maybe that's why I got the gig.
You got the part. You knew your stuff. You knew what you were talking about. That's it. You sold
Look,
it.
I find music of other cultures extremely interesting. It informs my listening to Western music, of course, but it's just a diverse palette, and I like to also then bring those things into my quote-unquote Western shows.
Yeah.
And that's where you'll be watching a Vice documentary that we've worked on, and you'll hear just an interesting underscore, and that happens to be like, you know, Han from Toronto, who's Filipino-Canadian, and she works with Alexander who's, you know, the man when it comes to beats, Filipino-Canadian, authentic vibes that you just don't hear on anything else.
Just don't hear them anywhere. Really?
And we want to separate ourselves from dirty stock music, you know,
True.
stuff that you hear on everything.
Yeah.
Indie funding videos and
You
mock
gotta separate,
videos
man.
and,
You gotta separate. You gotta
Separate to be
Pawn
recognized.
stars and garbage.
I'm gonna separate this one.
Oh,
I want the
boy.
slap to get
Hammer's
attention.
down.
I want the hammer. I want the
Hammer's
hammer. I want the
down.
hammer. Hey, listen. Either I slap the table or Dom slaps me, and we don't want to go there. We don't want to go there. Listen, I Turn My Camera On by Spoon is coming up. Also, Toxic by Valdi. We're showing up with these songs. It's gonna be sweet. This has been Carter Crawford and David Hayman.
Hayman.
CFRE, DriveWire Radio.
You pay the right
Oh
price.
my gosh, this is
Welcome
awesome.
back.
I wish the mics were on the whole time. You guys are missing out. For the right price, you can buy David Hayman, and he will do, depending on your price and depending on the thing.
Sounds about almost anything.
That's right.
Listen, I want to talk
Contact
to you.
Kaya at wearthesupergroup.com.
That's it. Yeah, so I want to talk about the supergroup as well. I want to talk about duplication in a sec, persistence, consistency, skills aside from music, but I have a more interesting question that jumped into my mind. Can an artist sell out or not?
Of course.
I mean, I feel like.
Of course you can.
Yeah, selling out.
Of course you can. I mean, my whole job is creating new context. That's what the licenses avail us the opportunity to do, is put context into a new context. What we're creating with that license is going towards a Voltron of a new copyright. And that new copyright's either an ad or a TV thing. And that's not what you intended when you wrote the song. So frankly, everything's a bit of a sellout. However, you might have actually had cinematic thoughts when you made that thing.
This is what I want to happen
Yeah.
with it. And
Do you think that I respect the Cars as a band? You know what I mean? Like, how many Swiffer commercials do you do? I'm not gonna go, but that's exactly where they should be. Because if
That's
the Cars
the-
didn't sell out, I still wouldn't go to their concert.
I wouldn't go to their.
But I love the Cars. You listen to the Cars on radio, especially speaking of radio media, it cuts through. It's like, even a song like Shake It Up, it's like, that's a great
Good tune.
song.
Good tune.
It sounds like perfection, right? And you get Huey Lewis sounds like perfection, but try and listen to 9 of them in a row, and you feel like you're on television land, right?
Sure, yeah.
It's sickening, right? And like bands like Thin Lizzy, they shouldn't have sold out, you know? I'm glad this door's open to me because of Led Zeppelin selling out in a big way with the Cadillac commercial in like year 2000. That really opened the floodgates, but it also breaks my heart. And then again, Robert Plant's got to eat, you know?
Yeah, they got bills. to
Yeah,
pay.
Totally. The worst thing that can happen if you're famous is stay alive. You want to die young. Yeah, no, for sure. Because you keep having this mortgage and this lifestyle that you got to keep up.
You gotta keep up,
So
man.
I don't know what you do, especially as the lifespans get long. I'm like half joking, but like seriously,
I
how
think
do you
Nirvana's an
sustain-
excellent example,
how do
right?
you sustain
Like,
your career?
yeah, I mean, Nirvana has only gotten so much bigger now that Kurt Cobain's gone. But if Kurt Cobain had never, unfortunately, taken his own life, we would never have the Foo Fighters, because David Grohl, with Dave Grohl, I should say, not David Grohl, Dave Grohl would never, David Grohl is real proper here, he would never,
David!
he never would have pursued a new band, he never would have, you know what I mean? So we would
Well,
never
I mean,
have-
yeah, you want to look good, and look what Chris has done. Chris has become a lawyer,
Yeah.
and he now represents artists who
Yeah.
have been screwed over by the streaming
But,
services.
yeah.
Like, read into what Chris has done. He's like amazing. I mean, these platforms that people have been given because of success and whatever, it's a lifestyle you have to live
Yeah.
and keep up with. So I don't know how someone like Steve Miller has a lifestyle without sync placements. You
Yeah.
know, I just saw Fly Like an Eagle in a great David Fincher show called Mindhunters, and it's fantastic. I don't know how much it got paid, but those things, they actually count for something.
Yeah,
right?
and it's exposure too, because it still has people coming and checking if you don't, if you never knew about, which is crazy.
But to me, it's not binary. It's not, to me, an artist, should not be for sale or not for sale. They should still be judging everything.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. I really wanted to hear something like that. I was like waiting for it. I see a lot of people, as soon as somebody gets paid on their art, they're instantly accused of selling out to it. I'm like, man, like, you gotta eat, like, you gotta make this
You gotta
money
eat.
somehow.
I mean, some great high art, I'm sorry to burst bubbles, is made for shits and giggles. It's
Yeah.
like, well, like, look at the Stones. Their whole disco movement is all shits and giggles to me, right?
Yeah.
So why not give away Emotional Rescue and Miss You? Why not get it paid, because it unto itself is a commentary on pop music, right? So as a deconstruction of pop music, why not push that album out to exactly the media it was kind of made for?
Made
Right.
for them.
And same with Cars, Cars, Shake It Up. What do you think Shake It Up's made for? Like, maybe it's a cocaine song. Likely is.
Likely,
But
yeah,
at the end of
time.
the day, they knew that this is a thing that's going to butter the bread for
And
years.
now we can swell Swiffer wet jets with it.
And then we
it
can
works.
also cry if we have a teenage drama like a Stranger Things that makes us feel so nostalgic,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden they're slow dancing to Drive by the Cars, which
True.
isn't even Okasic singing, right? And it just can make you cry, right? We see with Corey Hart, Never Surrender in Stranger Things. I mean, that's like funny and fun, and maybe to me it's funny because I won air band contest singing that song. But
Did you really?
to me that also made, buddy, I'm the
dude.
best buddy. Don't test. Yeah.
I almost think
Never
DriveWire
Surrender is
Swiffer.
my song.
Yeah, hold on. That will be on DriveWire extra content.
Extra
We'll get you to do that
content, we
for
might get
Instagram.
that.
We'll get you to do it for Snapchat,
Beautiful,
Facebook.
beautiful.
We'll do
Someone put the
after.
fist in front of the
Yo,
face.
it's gonna be some
The
good extra
presentation.
content.
Serious. I love
I'm
the hair I
excited for
used
that.
to though.
I like it. Yeah, you can borrow mine, man. I'll let it down. I'll stand behind you or something. Oh, man. Man, what are the skills that are involved in what you do?
Man, just
Man,
hanging out,
man,
listening to
Just
tunes,
hanging out,
man.
chilling, listening.
You know?
Well, having an open ears and an open heart is truly, I think, a skill. The patience to listen to music, the ability to visualize.
Oh, interesting.
I consider myself a little bit of a synesthesiac. I see and feel oddly. I have an odd reaction to music, and I can
Makes you kind of feel something
compartmentalize
when you
it.
hear it, and
I mean, maybe everyone feels like this, but I compartmentalize that and then react on it right away. So I'm constantly, and have been for the last 20
Whoa.
years, playlisting and making mixtapes based on emotions and feelings that,
Whoa.
to me, are all visual. I get punched in the arm and made fun of by my friends at concerts because I close my eyes. I'm that guy.
Weird.
I love to see the songs.
yeah, you love
Yeah.
to you see it in your head, you feel it, like
That's
it's-
it. I love
it's a part of
driving when I
you.
listen to music. So I mean, the hard skills are administrative. There's no doubt about it. You have to have a general understanding of what contract law is, what the stakes are, what the general ins and outs are. You definitely don't have to be a lawyer, although you could be a lawyer. You could be that kind of a music supervisor.
Mhm.
There are all sorts of kinds of music supervisors.
There's so many
I'm-
different people that
yeah.
fit the role.
I'm the collector, the admirer, the one that comes from film maybe that can speak the language of directors and becomes a director whisperer, and on the other side the music whisperer. But Scotty in my office is like a studio pro. He's an outlaw kind of guy, and he's the guy that's working on like a country series and like
Whoa.
in there making things happen. Kaya's a young, vibrant lady of the city, and like she's making stuff happen. She's got a new show called Ginny in Georgia. She's like me, very, very intelligent about her music selections, but her skill is being ultra culturally aware, which is so important in
Yeah,
the
that's
paradigm
huge.
of television and storytelling.
Yeah.
Cody is my specialist when it comes to administration. Adele is my people person. She's out in LA, and she's got away.
Yeah,
she's got away.
She's a moneymaker with friends and
Well,
contacts.
it's not
and
about
just-
making money. It's
No,
about
it's like,
making connections.
connections, yeah.
And through all those connections, by making good things happen, we get paid. We find a way. Like you said, how many jobs are there? There's not a lot of defined jobs. You have to figure out how you're going to get in the middle of making great things happen, how you're going to help elevate, make those great things happen, and then bill for that.
And
That's
then
what it
bill
is.
for it.
You can't go in expecting dollars. You got to
No.
go in expecting that you're going
An
to be in a
opportunity.
collaborative opportunity to make something with a group of great people. Some of them may be on the film side heavy or the music side heavy.
For sure,
Whoever
yeah.
engaged you, whoever's paying the bill or writing the checks, you find a way to be a partner, elevate that project, figure out how it works without, hurting their project, and get paid through that.
And
So
they get paid.
it's all a journey, and it's all relationship building. It's all about people's next project, and it's about developing also with the musician. Say yes to something down the road. That kind of ease of work and that spirit and enthusiasm will pay off for other synchronizations.
So it's like networking is it's the biggest part there. Is
For
like,
sure.
talking to people, getting the connections.
Yeah, but don't call me. Like, it's not physical. Like, I'll turn my phone off. People do calls.
Send me the email.
Yeah,
or,
send me the polite email. Give me an
Yeah.
idea of who you are. I don't want the whole story, obviously.
No. We'll talk about that after, but yeah.
Well, everyone's,
if I'm interested.
If
yeah.
I'm interested, exactly. Tell me where you're from, like what your perspective is maybe in a brief thing, but I want to get the music, I want to hear it, and I want to see an eagerness and an availability
Yeah.
and an openness, and maybe even a little bit, maybe I'm asking too much, but a little bit of respect for not me.
Not respect
but,
to me,
but to cinema, to
Yeah.
what music can do to picture, and why that artist feels like they, to your point, like selling out, why they think they can help elevate a project, not I want to make money on this. That never works.
That's you can't make money off something going into it with the sole purpose of trying to make money off it.
Will
Like,
never.
What are some of the best ways that people could maybe add value to a current project that's going on? So you're saying like go in there, make great things happen, and build
More
for that.
cowbell.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. I like
More
it.
cowbell.
And like,
write
don't
it
pay your
down.
bass player, so you might as well get 3 bass players. Right?
I mean, the
if
more
that
free
becomes a
talent,
standard
right?
that bass players just have to show up with their band, then you got 3 vehicles, you can layer the bass. If you layer the bass, you pretty much soon have an 808.
Listen.
And then you're more urban centric, and that will actually get you deeper into the pop market.
That's
Then
it.
nice
Whoa.
photos and stuff,
Whoa.
and then hit your sync agent.
So the key is
Whoa.
don't pay your bass.
Don't, and then everything
It
else.
all
will-
comes down to, don't pay your bass. No, I mean, the best opportunities really are not from people who want to get in this and have it made it their sole purpose. Yes, there are composers and people that want to write for original music. That's not necessarily what I do. I love and respect and work with those folks. Different ballgame. What I'm looking for is music that comes from your heart. I'm looking for music that is created in a specific context that can either be recontextualized or used to elevate the context that's already in the project, right? So that's just, it's as simple as that.
Simple,
Make
yeah.
what you feel. If you happen to be making stuff and it's not hitting on a show, that just probably means there's not a show that fits your thing.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean it won't down the road.
Yeah.
Music is forever. It's the alchemy. It's beautiful. It's something that lasts. And I've gone back to the well. I've gone back to, what we call now older artists, which is ridiculous because we move so fast in the internet culture.
Yeah, everything's.
But I was-
6 years ago, it was like
Yeah.
a long time.
But like, God bless, like all those artists from like 2014 and whatever, their albums are still relevant. They're obviously, I love retro music. A lot of the stuff I sent you guys is all the retro stuff I play. Music's forever, and it's not going away.
It doesn't
So-
go away. Yeah. That's
It doesn't go
exactly
away,
it.
so neither should your determination. Just because you're not getting synchronizations now, doesn't mean it's not good or not right. I mean, there's like-
Synchronizations is when you put music and video
Right.
together. It's a license, just so people might have missed
like a
it.
placement, or we call them syncs or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you aren't necessarily, it could be an indication that your music sucks. There's a very, very, very good chance that
Look, we can embrace the impact. It's real. It could be trash music.
Yeah, look,
But-
if you're making popular sounding music, it's obviously not going to have the same staying power as something that's forever.
Yeah, yeah.
I look to an artist like John Bryant, a BC artist. He's beautiful. He's a beautiful man. His stuff is just from the heart. It all comes from such a place. His life has taken such a beautiful journey, and so has the storytelling in music.
Right on.
I will still dip into a new song to try and give it that hype promo power. But once I've laid that palette in a show with his specific voice, I can then go to that well again,
Ah,
pull in the older stuff,
Yeah.
which does not feel old. It just
Yeah, it
feels
feels-
in the pocket.
Yeah, it's just current. It feels current, even though it's 30 years old. But it's like it doesn't.
It's not 30 years
No,
old,
it's not,
John.
no.
You're a young, beautiful
No, I
man.
say I don't. I don't know, John. I'm thinking maybe five years.
Yeah, 5 years.
Five. You know,
well, so
like,
you have these great careers, and there's
Yeah.
a lot of output. But yeah, 5-year career could really only mean 2.5 albums, right?
That's true,
We're
that's
not
true.
content. So I could be looking, especially now, at some of these artists that I love working with from the early 2000s, and they're still absolutely relevant. And there still is, there's an opportunity for them to have this passive income from
Yeah.
their music.
yeah.
Basically, just saying never give up, because
Yeah, never
just
quit.
just because it's not working today and you're not getting syncs today, that doesn't mean down the road it's not going to work out for.
I know there's a whole thing. If it doesn't work today, it doesn't mean it won't work tomorrow.
Persistence, man. In this
Yeah.
industry, it's everything. There are guys and girls that have been around the game, that know what they're doing. You know, badass ladies and hardcore dudes that just like can,
Do it.
because they're confident in their experience. And
Yeah.
experience is everything. We work in a people industry, so they've seen it all. They've seen everybody's problems, they've seen everybody's successes and what they've done with that success and how people have lifted themselves up from failure. They've seen what works and what doesn't. And a lot of these people aren't necessarily the ones with the specific talent or the ones on stage,
Yeah.
But they're the ones that, they're just badass, man.
They're making it. They're doing
There's
it.
some great managers in the city, some great support people, and those are the people you need to meet to put together. The heart behind Sound Drive Radio and
Yeah.
all this stuff, and record companies that can come up and it's your own wallets that you're putting behind other people's art. That's huge. That's patronage, right? That is as age old as it gets, right? That goes back to the medieval times and beyond, where patronage is everything. We don't have arts without patronage and support. So bless you guys.
It's true.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. That's.
Silence the room.
Bless you.
I love it.
Yeah.
I know, I was just like,
Put everybody in
I
place. Like,
didn't
whoa.
I like it, man. Like, support the art, support the fellow artists.
Well, it's the only support. There's nobody should be hunkering down and go, okay, guys, we need to get into film and has to do. Organize yourself. That's a great way to do it.
Yeah.
It's really the only thing you can do other than just write good music from the heart, because you cannot force your stuff to a music supervisor. That's a turn off. You can't force your stuff into a show. You can't write for a show. You can't write for an
You gotta
album.
be asked.
You don't
and
think-
gotta
you don't
bring
think-
on,
Paradigm is
bring
gone.
on,
So
should
you
say.
can't say, oh, I have this really awesome idea for this current show, send it in, that's not doable.
I mean, not unless you're, Emily Haynes and you tell me that Metric did something special. Because
True.
Gotcha.
I want to be able to also have my audience, but the audience,
The audience.
Shazam it on the show and then be able to source it right away on
Yeah.
Spotify. Frankly, I would love for that artist to have a career behind it. So I really try and stay away from one-offs because the storytelling ends. I will go to a one-off, I'll license a one-off. There's been beautiful placements I've had. But I like to have a rich kind of rabbit hole for the audience to go down.
To go down, not
That's
just kind of
exciting.
this is it. As you,
And in that, I love
that's
returning
all.
to an artist that gets a great response on the show.
True, yeah.
It seems to me, sorry Crawford,
No,
it
no,
seems
no.
to me that you have like this almost like sick fetish of connecting people to dope music through the like I'm just watching your face when you're like, yeah, I love the rabbit hole that they get down, they see the muse and they're in
Sits
there.
at a computer
And then-
desk at nighttime with the
Yeah,
lights low,
like-
gritting his teeth like, this is the one, this is the one.
That's
That's
so
why you're
much
so
good.
good.
Going to work.
That's why you're so
The
good.
hearts and minds, that's really where I get excited, is when somebody can actually make the connections and then all that.
Yeah.
And go down there. My dream is that they're Shazamming and then pausing the show and then going deep and annoying their girlfriend
Yeah,
or their
you love
boyfriend.
it,
And
you love
like, oh, did you hear about this and this and
That's
this?
awesome.
I've shamefully done that a lot, where you listen to, you hear like a tune, maybe even a TV show or like a commercial, like what the, that was dope. Bro.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I did a show called Rookie Blue, and Rookie Blue
That was the-
was
Huge
humongous
show.
for that. When it came to people being curious, this is pre-Shazam.
True.
Pre good internet. I would
Rookie
say.
Blue.
Rookie Blue, CTV show,
Yeah,
and
it was
on
Canadian.
ABC in the US. And because of the reach on ABC, it went worldwide, 290
wow.
countries.
Cool.
I can't.
I had no idea it was that far.
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't know it went out.
I think I probably wouldn't be able
So you
to.
can imagine I would get, questions and Twitter. Twitter was also very, very hot at
Huge,
the time.
yeah.
So, questions and fans and whatnot. There was a
We
militant
want to
army
know.
of Irish LGBT
Any
folks
songs in
backed
particular
us.
that blew up?
Oh yeah, I mean we were the first ones to use the heavy "How You Like Me Now" for a
Oh.
boxing
Oh.
scene, which was ginormous. We had a Bastille song for huge kissing moments where
Nice.
the Charlotte character came out. Dear Rouge, we blew up. Well, I think we blew up Metric on that show. We had tons of Metric. We
Good
had-
artists just got to get a good promotion.
Yeah, but then we had
Make it-
favorites in there like Hani El Khatib all over the place. Hani
Oh.
El Khatib on Innovative Leisure, one of my favorite artists. And, locally like Matt Mays, like when his stuff was really kicking, it's still kicking.
Yes.
But, early in his career when he was really hype, we were getting his stuff on there. So many covers and great things. My love and relationship with Patrick Watson started then. Been using his music ever since.
Sits right there. Wow.
Yeah, Rookie Blue was huge for people discovering new Canadian bands.
I remember seeing that show all the time on CTV when I was like, I guess I would have been a late kid, young teenager.
But I
kind of
love,
deal.
that's
They're
the joy I get when people will go down those rabbit holes. I don't see it as much, but I can see it happening.
Yeah,
They're not
because
as
you dig
vocal
into
about
it, you want to know so much more about what they're featuring and
Exactly.
Yeah.
We'll make Spotify playlists on our soundtracks that don't get officially released, and
Oh,
you
interesting.
can tell the listens and the numbers, and it's good. I just, I don't care about everybody. I really get my jollies knowing that, like one fan, like, some girl or guy, like in their room diving into the whole thing, and then like you said, crying from it, or
Yeah,
just
it's
it's
emotional.
emotional, like
Yeah.
oh,
Well,
this
some
hits.
of my
touches
favorite
me.
songs I've actually found like that. So the old theme song, I'm not sure if it still is or if this show House is even on, that doctor show with Hugh Laurie.
Oh yeah.
The song for that at the very beginning was it was Teardrop by Massive Attack.
There you go.
And
Yeah.
so all my, like, I guess I would have been, again, young high school, hearing this song at the beginning. Way later in my college days, I hear this song, I'm like, I know
what's that
that.
song?
And then I
Yeah.
really did. I got way into this Massive Attack, and it got me all through these different similar, like, Portishead and other sounds through the
That was a
Europe
big palette
underground.
for that show, actually.
Yeah, and it
Big
really
time.
was cool. So that's
Chiba and Portishead.
Yeah.
And vibe.
That's
Oh.
where I connected to, okay, maybe these syncs, as you're calling them, maybe this connection with video, maybe this like overlaying the music onto some video might be a really great way to inject it into the mainstream.
Oh yeah, when there was a commercial recently, like a Ben's commercial or something that had One Day Reckoning, Ashraf Abidan. One day baby will be old, oh baby, you know that too?
I don't know that one. I
a lot of
don't know
people
that
have-
one.
I'm gonna go back through this whole show and
There-
pause it on
yeah,
every
listen to it.
song you play and just
Yeah.
listen to
Check
it.
out that
myself.
One Day Reckoning, the Wonder Nut remix. I think I'm saying it right. That was used on Rookie Blue, and that just came up on a car commercial now, and then it blew
Whoa.
up. People going, I heard this on Rookie Blue. This is
Yeah,
where I found
years
it."
ago, this is
Yeah.
and you guys just sitting there like, we used it. We knew it was gonna be something. We don't want to.
Oh yeah, there were some iconic things that we had used that were the first, like the heavy.
They were the heavy first guys in the industry. to do
AWOL
it.
Nation Sail.
Oh
Fantastic
man,
song.
I love that
That
song.
is a
dude.
great song.
That was a big moment in Rookie Blue.
And you guys saw that. You guys like this is the song with the. It's got a beat. It's got a moment. And we
Yeah.
can use it in a.
Well, that was a weird thing. It was like that came out in a weird paradigm
Such a
of
good
corporate
song.
record labels. So
Oh.
there was, for me, on the advertising side, Green Label Sound was really interesting, and they just signed Chromeo. That was Mountain Dew's record label. And they had
Weird.
done some
I did not know how Mountain Dew
Yeah.
had a record label.
Yeah,
What?
they had-
Do the do.
Oh,
Chromeo.
totally. And good stuff came out from it, right? Like really
Whoa.
good stuff came from what's his name? Indian. Oh, I forget. But check out the Green Label Sound. But then Converse came out with a label,
Wow.
and Red Bull came out with a label. which
Yeah,
is
we
I,
still
I
talked
said
about
Red
the
Bull
Red
did
Bull
have the
label.
label. Yeah.
And
We
AWOL
have to
Nation
turn
was
away
the
our
first kind of
bands.
signing for Red Bull, and Red Bull, was a kind of idea. It's an idea. It's like energy. It's like you're gonna get something. You're gonna
Yep.
get a roar. But this, at the time when it just came out, it was a bit hipstery. So you knew you were gonna get this like new edge wave thing. So again, going to sound, like an idea moved me towards that label to discover AWOL Nation, and being curious as a Canadian, because we don't really have stuff that sounds like that.
No.
Being like, oh, I think this is what glossy American, like cool, edgy stuff could sound like. And because it was Red Bull Sound and on the DL, shouts to Vince in the US, you know, like I was one of the first guys to hear it, and then just took it from there.
That's awesome.
Have you ever heard of the band, again, one of these newer bands that are blowing up that have the new style, the Snotty Nose Res Kids?
Snotty Nose Red Kids are fantastic.
Fantastic, but they have that totally different,
Well, totally.
you know, it's a different style, different presentation. I've just recently started getting into them, like, these guys are different.
Well,
These
they're
guys are
super
doing it
creative.
right.
I understand
Like,
that, you know, and I'm learning as I go, wearing my First Nations button here.
Yes.
But I'm learning that there are obviously rules in music that you follow, and then rules of the genre that you want to stick within
Mhm.
to reach an audience in the right way. But also in First Nations and Aboriginal, you know, music, there are actually certain limitations that I think, because you creatively have to work around or work to, you know, focus
So,
on,
yeah,
you
focus
find
those.
a new way of saying it, you find a new way of delivering it that becomes interesting. Things like
Ah,
honoring the
interesting.
beat, you know, even just alone, the way that they work their drums is not necessarily
It's
the
not
way that a
traditional
normal
or-
producer can even work.
Yeah.
With rules, you have to give the drum the space to breathe. You can't war cry over everything, you know? There's a cultural balance that you have to reach, and I think by finding that, but also having a huge foot in pop culture and everything that, you know, is good about the world of art and music today,
Mhm.
those guys are able to pull in this thing that's like Australian.
This-
you know, it's
yeah,
like
the unique
it's,
sound
Yeah,
and-
it's born on its own, it's developed on its own, and it's, you know, its influences are as wide ranging as everything from Western pop to everything in the world that's, you know, Aboriginal in its nature.
And now they're up on the singular top of their pedestal
Absolutely.
alone. And they're getting recognition for it.
Again, they're, you know, getting recognition for telling their story.
And it is the story, exactly. They're
It's
telling the
their
story. Yeah,
they're not telling
their
someone
story.
else's thing. It's
No,
their
it's
story.
their story.
True to themselves.
Yeah.
I don't know what their sync history is like. I haven't had huge success with them, although I've pitched them. I can imagine that when it comes, it will be amazing.
Yes.
Because people will know their music, the context, especially with forward-facing, very, you know, middle of the mix, punchy rap and like
Yeah,
that kind
yeah.
of stuff. It doesn't just live as background. It's super in front.
Yeah.
You know, it's a featured placement, as we
Yeah.
call it.
Yeah.
Their time will definitely come very
Yeah,
soon.
you
Very
like them a
soon.
lot,
Very
yeah.
soon.
And I mean their time, and I'm sort of being sort of film and media centric about it, or visual media centric about it. I don't mean to be, but it's only from where I come from.
It's your life.
I don't
Yeah,
think
it's your
that
life, yeah,
success comes from just being on TV at all.
No.
It's a facet, and so.
You don't give that vibe at all. That you're.
Okay.
Hey, I've been on TV
okay.
a couple times.
I don't want to throw
That
shade on
makes
radio
No,
people.
No, radio,
thanks, man. Come on, man. Look, we have a GoPro in the room. We're putting this on YouTube.
Yeah, we're just as famous. You know? We're on
I have
video.
a question for you about the name of the Snotty Nose Red Kids.
Res Kids.
I don't know if I can answer it.
Snotty Nose Red Kids. No,
Res
it's
Kids. Snotty Nose Res Kids. It's like an extremely visceral name. Okay, Snotty Nose Res Kids. It gives me like a gross feeling. I like their music. I've heard it. Crawford and I have had this conversation.
Yeah,
but I wanna
yeah,
know-
yeah.
So you said, like, I've pitched them a couple times. Haven't really had.
Yeah, but I
Do
get a
you-
visceral feeling when I hear the words Phil Collins. So,
Okay,
like,
fair
what do you
enough.
want from me? I'm not going to engage in
do
a
you-
conversation
do you
with
think-
somebody's, you know,
But do you
band,
think?
especially
about
when
their
it-
name. It's,
Yeah.
you know,
Do you
it's-
think
yeah.
a name like that could affect how people are perceiving? That was the question.
No.
Not their specific.
Not at all.
You
Not
don't
at
think
all.
so?
On the drive down here, I had a fantastic conversation with my man Graham from Holy Fuck. And they are one of the most fantastic bands. And if you beep this name, then you're being hypocritical, because Holy Fuck is a great band. Holy Fuck are one of Canada's best bands. Holy Fuck are continuing to tour.
Yeah, we're
Holy
pushing
Fuck
it.
have a
We're-
new album coming out. And Holy Fuck will remain top of the game for as long as people like myself are making media, people that they've impressed over the years, people whose hearts they have lifted and souls and spirits they have really, you know, affected. Those people are now in positions to actually produce content. So it's actually
True.
an interesting thing. When you're a musician, many of your peers, even if you're at a high level, many of your peers in the film and television and the sort of media production world, even in advertising, they're not there yet. they're still PAing. They're out of an age where you're going to be hot on stage is not the same age where you're going to be hot in the boardroom. So all
very
these
true.
folks that you've put into your hearts and they've been their wild kids and they've been drunk off their ass in your audience, I mean, those are the ones now that are making the decisions, that are producing films, that are calling me when I say, hey, look, I had a call with Graham from Holy Fuck on the way here, and he wants to do more cinema projects. Him and Alex from Mets actually are working together.
Oh, cool.
And like when I hear something, you know, there's a Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross song in somebody's film and they need to replace it, I'm like, I got two guys.
I got two guys for
They're
you.
wildly creative and they're one of Canada's finest, and their name is Holy Fuck. So to your point, I don't think any kind of detriment. Now I have a bigger problem with artists that have terrible names. You know, I come from, I'm Jewish, so I have like, there's tons of celebrities that have changed their names to make it sound more palatable to the market. I don't think those people are sellouts. They're doing whatever you do. It's showbiz.
They're
right?
they're trying to appeal to people.
I don't want to call out certain people, but some people have horrible real names that they've kept. And it's terrible, terrible. It's a joke in our office. Some people, I will say, I will not license them because I can't see myself writing a post with this
With
stupid
their
ass
stupid
name.
name.
Sorry, come up with something creative.
Yeah.
Your name is so important. The way you package yourself is so important.
So at the same time, you're saying both. No, it doesn't matter.
I never. When did I say it mattered? It does. Snyder Rose Redskins is a great name because it's getting attention.
It's recognition, yeah. You immediately you hear it like, whoa, what?
Yeah, I could give you a bunch of
Not
other
those
kind of like
Redskins,
rap squads from, you know, the First Nations of Canada, and you may not know them as well because Snotty Nose Redskins is something worth writing about. And we're in a, you know, I think the name comes from a real place. Obviously it does, but it's also got a clickbait thing to it
It's
too.
definitely got that, yeah.
We live in that world where you got to grab people's attention.
I got a question for it in a sense for an artist's name, but also in a relatability thing. There's a rapper that I just kind of recently learned about. He's been on the game for a while. His name is NF, but he doesn't swear in his raps as well. But that's also what I've seen
No
in
fucks?
his, like he doesn't drop any, you know, he
No
drops
fucks
no
given.
nothing like that. So, but I've also seen a lot of comments where there's parents that are like, this is so appealing to me as an adult that wants to share rap music with my children
Yeah.
that I can't do that because there's, you know, like you said earlier, there's so many swear words all the
I
time.
have, you know, I have a girl in grade 4.
Okay.
My daughter's in grade 4. And
Congrats. That's
Right,
cool.
yeah, congrats.
Yeah,
She's
for
a
you.
little 8-year-old.
She
little
just passed
6-year-old.
grade 3, guys. It wasn't that hard. Yeah, but I appreciate it.
It's getting tougher. It's getting tougher.
Shazza Ruby, I mean, we have never stopped or sort of censored what she listens to because really it has nothing to do with what you watch, what you see. It's how
True.
you raise your kids. These are all
That's
sorry
very true.
excuses for things that have happened.
Bad
And then,
parenting,
yeah, no,
you're
you're
making excuses for.
cobbling together a backstory of why something would have happened, or why some kids have failed,
Yeah.
miserable, heart and soul.
Yeah.
I mean, it has nothing to do with negative lyrics. Now, there are lyrics that I won't play because they're overly misogynistic, and there's no reason for them
Uh-huh.
to go there.
Mhm.
If there were lyrics specifically about violence to another person, and
Yeah.
that becomes then a teaching moment.
Yes.
You know, but
You're not trying to teach your daughter to then inflict violence on other people
Totally.
if they disagree. Or,
But one of the first videos, my wife can attest to this, is that I showed her was Bubble Bum.
Whoa,
It's
Bubble
a
Bum,
great
Bubble
video.
it's a good video.
It's so good.
Yeah.
The video is so
It's-
good.
yeah,
It's
it's
crazy. Nothing makes kids laugh more than poopy humor.
Yeah, big
Poopy humor
butts.
is great.
Yeah.
Farts and poops and butts and like that makes a kid giggle. And I know it's low ball, it's easy, but man, when you watch your child laugh and think something is hilarious,
Yeah.
I mean, that's where Eric Wernheim shines.
Yeah,
That's like one of his
yeah.
greatest music videos. So we never shy away from that, but why should I shy away from that for film and television? So there's clean versions we can get. I'm not going to talk about what an artist should or shouldn't do and how they want to express themselves. My favorite moments are, you know, even in folk songs is when they'll swear. You know, because it becomes like a David Mamet film or script, you know, where it's like a lot of seriousness, and then when
And
you
then
use
all
that
of a sudden
swear
it's-
word, it just hits you.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa, left hook. Whoa.
You know, do I have an opinion on language in music? Absolutely. If it's overused, it's repetitive, I do not have any place for it.
Yeah, there's
if
no
it's
use for it.
carefully used and it's not derogatory, I'm all good for it.
You're okay with that? Interesting.
You know, why would you ever bully somebody or whatever? That's no place in anything, no place in music. It's a waste of
No,
conversation.
very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Let's move on.
Man, I like this guy.
Yeah.
You're giving really
Solid answers.
yeah, You have a vibe about you where it doesn't seem like you're thinking about it, but as it's coming out, it's making so much sense. I'm like, damn, this guy's like got it. You're like whizzing on real time, like you can see it happening.
Yeah, I'm always whizzing, man. I am a content junkie, so I'm constantly listening to podcasts, I'm constantly listening to ideas, and my goal this year is to listen more. Just period. Listen to people's stories, talk less. My podcast has been on the sort of breaks. And just because I'm not understanding where to jump back in to
What's
get
it called?
better.
Yeah, where to take it?
It's the Music Supercast. It's on every single podcast network you can find. It's fantastic, and we're about to jump into season 4.
Right on.
We have some great stuff lined up with Ethan Hawke and Ben Dickey from the movie Blaze. We're going to be doing some stuff live from the H Club in Los Angeles.
Whoa.
Figuring out the right way to do a live podcast is tricky because I'm not a big fan of live podcast, period.
Yeah.
So, again, to go back, it's also being my goal to listen more. It's trying to give the right platforms and not just talk when I feel like there's a reason to talk.
Almost listen when I feel there's a reason to talk, like kind of hear what everyone else has to say when I want to say something about it.
Right. So my wheels are always turning, and I try to only offer my opinion when necessary. So again, these opinions are my own. It's not a how to get professional or.
But this is what I think.
But
Helpful.
these are some things in my heart that I believe in, and I think the more you listen to people through music is a great gateway to understanding people's stories and listening to their actual, non-artistic outputs, their actual stories,
Their actual
histories,
yeah.
their tales of their family and things that hit right at home to contextualize things in the context that you can relate to. Music's a great gateway for that, and I implore people to go beyond their algorithms and cultures and explore even what this country has to offer.
Yeah.
I like that, man.
I like that a lot.
Okay, we're going to the next
Shouts to
break.
DJ Shove.
DJ Shove.
I'm gonna throw one out there for
Yeah.
the Aboriginal community.
I like that. Listen, man, we got Lucille by Little Richard coming up. We got Testify by UN Jefferson and Moonshake by Homeshake. CFRE Radio, it's on the list.
Moon Woman, but yeah. From the film The Rest of Us.
Woman. I blame that on Dom. He wrote this list here. CFRE Radio, we got it coming up. Check us out.
Welcome
It's a
back.
good name. David Hayman. Hey, man.
Hey man, my name's David.
You never heard that?
What the? Hey man, my name's David.
No. It's
Really?
brilliant,
I
guys.
mean, that's a great way to advertise yourself. Be like, hey man, David. David Hayman.
That's the only thing he's heard since grade 1.
Like, obviously, right? Obviously.
Oh man, I love that. David, I have a couple questions for you.
Shoot.
What are some skills outside of knowing music that actually really help you?
Macrame?
Well,
Well, you should definitely, if you live in this country, know how to defend yourself from bears.
That's a big
Bears.
one. That is a big
That's
one.
huge.
Bear attacks are on the rise.
on a real note, when I was in the States, I used to sell pest control door to door in Texas, and I convinced a lady down there that as a rite of passage, in order to graduate high school, you had to kill a bear with your bare hands.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
in
a tough one.
Canada.
That's
She
a tough
believed
one.
me. She
That
believed
is-
me. I eventually admitted to her that was not true. But,
All music supervisors have to screech in the East Coast music.
I
Award.
believe that.
Kind of screech and then kiss the cod, you know.
Yeah.
And if you're a real music supervisor, you've been up to Dawson City, you've had the toe drink.
Oh,
You know, the sour toe?
that's the frozen toe, and
Yeah.
yeah, that's
What?
it.
What?
I'll explain it to him. He's never heard
Do a
of it.
little
He's-
Google search.
Yeah, it's.
I've had the toe.
You've had the
The
toe.
sour toe.
It's
Yes.
it's like there was like he's googling it now. I feel like we should explain it. There was an old toe that fell off a guy, and they keep it in the
An
freezer.
old miner's toe.
Old miner's toe. I said there was a
Put it
detail
at
to
the bottom of
the,
your drink and then
and
you drink up.
put it
and
in the
it's-
drink. Yeah.
Oh yeah, look at all these faces around. There's nothing sweeter.
Oh, I'm explaining it. My face is still like I couldn't do it.
So yeah, you gotta have
do
drinking
it.
skills. You gotta have partying skills. Now,
Mm.
you do need to have what's
East
the
Coast
context
skills.
for it? East Coast
The
skills.
sour toe cocktail is practically a rite of passage for visitors to Dawson City, Yukon. It's a simple drink, a shot of whiskey, usually Yukon Jack, with an unusual accompaniment, a mummified human toe. Is that the same one? It's just the same place you go to with one human toe that a million other people take
That
to
toe's
go.
been in a million glasses, a million drinks.
No, that's the thing. Not a million people. Maybe 100,000. 100 people.
How many people are willing to take that drink challenge?
I don't think that makes it any less gross.
No,
but,
not at all.
You
Oh.
actually did that?
Of course.
Mummified toe.
Of course.
In your drink.
Of course.
Did you like it?
I did not like it.
No, yeah, absolutely not.
The toe had a little bit of a weird
But it was a
taste to it.
fantastic night.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
I bet that.
When in Rome.
When in Rome.
I imagine your social skills have served you extraordinarily well.
Yes, although I'm quite an introvert. Don't
Really?
have many friends. Yeah.
No.
I am an admirer of many, but I have trouble relating to normal people.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I mean, by definition,
You look
normal.
shocked.
You know,
No,
definition normal.
Look, I love people, and I believe that I would never have gotten where I am in my career without people. But I'm absolutely an introvert. I do my work in my room and
Your room,
yeah, like in my
myself,
basement.
just, yeah.
My wife's asleep, my daughter's asleep, the whole world's asleep, and I work all night long. I'm a night owl. I feel like I'm in my own pocket. I'm a playlister.
Nice.
It can get lonely.
But, well, it's the darkness of the night. You know what I mean?
It's a beautiful time.
It's a beautiful time.
It is a beautiful time, and that is where I do find that I get the most creative energy. But it's truly a balance between that right-left brain thing, and I don't know where social skills fits into that sort of paradigm.
It's in the middle there somewhere. Like
It's
so,
hard.
It's hard to find it. And
It's hard. I mean, I appreciate the format of radio because I can ramble, but I do find myself doing this in social situations. Where it's like, all right, bud.
Hey.
All right, we're going to wrap this segment up.
I mean, we did go for 35 minutes last segment. Yeah, it was a good talk. You
There you
know,
go.
we weren't cutting it off. We were enjoying it.
What's next for you?
What's next for me? Well, Utopia Falls is...
Yeah, 2020 here, yeah.
You said it was on Hulu, you said on CBC, maybe other places.
So that's, it's a television show, 10 parts. It's about a utopian society where young people are engaged in an exemplar sort of competition. The stakes are high, the stakes for their own sectors and representing people.
Is it Hunger Gamesy?
It's got a vibe. It's got a vibe, but then they discover hip hop.
Oh.
And it changes everything. They get their minds blown. I won't give away the song.
Oh.
Yeah, there's an
If the
adventure.
police coming straight out, it's like, oh.
And that'll come out in 2020. Boy Wonder's the executive music director. Nikhil Sitaram's the composer. Director RT is it's his brainchild. He's the showrunner.
Whoa.
And it's his thing.
What's it like to be in the room with those people?
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a privilege.
Seeing them chat, discuss
Sure.
it, like.
Yeah, I mean, working with Sean Leon as our lyricist and seeing how they collaborate like Lego, how all the pieces fall into place, and then it morphs and changes, and then how everyone sort of adapts with it, goes with the flow, finding things that work and then revisiting it for another session, and then finding new gold behind something that seems almost dirty when you revisit it.
We wrote that? Oh,
Well,
we
it's been
did change
special,
it.
because of the limitations. Someone
True.
who's sample heavy, like Boy Wonder, he can't work with popular samples that he used to, or as he's used to. So I'm providing him with samples, rarities, things that are from the 60s that never really saw the light of day.
That maybe could create something totally new,
Exactly.
vibrant, and just engaging. And
Exactly, something that's different that feels like a bit of a James Brownie vibe, but
Oh,
has
nice.
the right kind of horn vibe that he needs. And we've sampled a couple of them for this project, but just being in the room with them and watching how they flow off each other, it's quite brilliant and quite talented.
Yeah.
folks.
Have you learned anything in particular? Have you caught any idiosyncrasies that you're like, oh, that's really,
Listening.
yeah.
Again, I think the best people listen, and they don't try and be the biggest lion in the room. They're comfortable with their own, skin, and they're able to sit back while somebody awkwardly creates, to have respect while somebody finds their feet, and know at the right time when that pacing, when those footsteps are starting to culminate into a jog, and know when then you can jump on.
this
but-
is when I'm going to start helping them, push them a little, run faster, telling them they're
Exactly.
doing things right, and encouraging them. And
But that little bit of incubation is a learning curve, and understanding that how to get there and how to listen and understand when to chime in when you feel like it's in a place where you like something,
Mhm.
but they're also comfortable with where it's gotten based on their retooling or.
It's super interesting because one of the first guests we had, Evan Stewart, he was like a production assistant in the studio. He said with Drake and 40, and he would just do that. He would sit back and watch them create. And if he wouldn't speak up unless they wanted any kind of input from him, or if he maybe had a good idea that he saw they weren't, doing things or they couldn't figure it out, he'd maybe speak up and help them. And that the bonding almost experience of that. It's like, I'm watching you do you,
Sure.
but I'm just gonna let me do me, and then
I'll sit there
it's,
and watch something develop for like 5 minutes, and they'll lay it down. I'll just sit quietly, and then at the end, I'll go, "I really, really, really like what you were doing at the beginning.
yeah.
Can we listen back
Can we
to
go
what
back?
you did at the beginning? You hear that piece. Let's isolate that and try and build off that
Something
because
from there.
I see where you went because it's the natural progression of where you'd fill up a song and
Mhm.
where you'd go." But we're not talking about radio here. We're talking about cinema.
Yeah, we're talking.
So it's
about,
a different beast, and it's like you want to hone in on a certain sound and then create a dynamic around it. Know where they can get to, but only pull that out when necessary.
Yeah, you
So-
want to create that moment.
but you
you're
can
working.
also chime in and go when that moment's happening. You can go, "I love that, love that."
It'll ruin it. It'll ruin the moment.
Well, you
Like,
can't, even if they're not recording, you just can't. You gotta sit back and
Enjoy it.
take in everything and take
Whoa.
in all of the bad takes, which to them might be a bad take, but to you might be a nugget of something you want to build.
It's like a learning experience there. I'm seeing what didn't work for them, but now I know and can
Right.
learn and.
Well, that's you just have to approach everything like it's going to be a learning experience. You need to know ultimately in the 6 hours of the studio book what you need to come out with, and you need to get to a point where you're delivering that. So you need to arc the creative experience to come to an ending.
Oh, yeah.
But you have to give that incubation period its proper breath, and that's a skill to learn.
That
Yeah.
takes time.
That takes
I
time.
agree with that.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier too, I want to touch on this kind of to wrap up. How do you come into the vision for a project? Like, even when you're saying, look, it's different than radio, it's a different medium, we have to hone in on particular parts and really emphasize that. Where does that come from for
Well,
you?
it comes from the directors. Again, I draw inspiration from the creators. So every director or showrunner is going to have their own perspective, and I like to do my research on them. What do they like? What are they trying to say?
Where do they want it to go?
Where do they want it to go? Where do
Yeah.
they honestly want their career to go and sound like?
Oh.
And what do they want this series to be spoken with in other series? How do I help them put that series or their project in that right compartment and elevate their voice? They have a certain voice, like we were saying with Hubert Davis, he has ideas for each thing. How do I then pitch him stuff that feels like he would have found
This
it
is what
himself?
he wants to find, and
Yeah.
he just wasn't able
I don't
to.
want to take the credit for all this stuff because,
No.
it's not the way. We're giving the director within their language of music, or specifically asking to move outside, a lot of choices and a lot of things that we think will work until we find this rhythm where we're pitching things that are almost from their head.
And that's the whole connecting mentally thing, though.
Yeah.
I've had it a couple times with Carter and Stacy in the ride where, the one time that still blows my mind, it was just we were conversating and then we stopped. But then all of a sudden I started whistling, but at the same time Niffin started whistling. The same moment, it
Same
happened.
song, same
Same
melody,
song,
same
exactly.
beat.
It was the weirdest thing ever.
It
But
was,
it's that
yeah.
whole mental connecting. I like to think that's your job. It's like, I want to see what you're thinking. I want to get in your brain, and I want to give you what you want.
I ultimately want somebody's vision to be fully realized. So when they see, yes, I want stamps of myself in there. And then, yes, I do think I have good taste, and the people that I work with are steering me towards the right ideas.
Yes.
And I'm confident that that will elevate and further the conversation of music, period.
Mhm.
But it's in that director, that creator's voice. And it's in their world building.
In their
And
ideas, what they wanted.
I love when they say, Hayman, build a world for me. Tell me what I should be doing here. And then it becomes,
Yes.
Exactly.
You're like,
but,
power's in my hands.
but ultimately you're
Thanos.
coming to a creative compromise where that world feels right. And the
Yeah.
whole vision, again, win-win for the win. nobody feels forced in. There's no wedging in something that doesn't feel right. It all comes from the director's point of view.
I named that win-win for the win W cubed, by the way. I kind of just
W
wrote that
cubed,
down.
W
So that's
cubed.
yours.
I'm open to logos.
That's yours.
Yeah, we get that trademark.
Mix the lids, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not.
I got one question before
and then
before we
we'll
wrap.
Yeah, cool.
Because I don't see it in yourself. I don't think you've ever experienced this. But have you ever seen something with the, like, when somebody has an idea in their mind and they bring it to somebody, and then somebody tries to, give them what they want, and they just settle for something. They just, they're like, this is kind of what I wanted, but it's not exactly, but I'll take it.
Yes,
Like,
absolutely.
Do you see that a lot?
That's my fucking parents.
They
They had me. They're like, whatever.
Yeah, just take it. It's
Take
here.
it.
Yeah, I can't get rid of it now.
Shout out to my mom and dad. You're talking about them. They worked so hard in the first.
But now they have such a good child, like
Yes, my brother Josh, an unreal person. Shouts
Oh
to
my!
Eden,
I
Yale,
can't
and
give this guy a compliment. Save my life.
Yeah,
but
no.
you know what I'm saying though. It's like, have you seen that with other people where they've even? Because I would never, from the interactions, I could never see you giving something to somebody where you wouldn't be happy with it, and you wouldn't want them to not be happy with it.
It doesn't happen.
It just really.
No, because I see what my parents went through.
Oh, it's too much. Where's the rap? Give me the rap. That's
I like it, man.
I
That
like
was a
it.
good-
That's
that
the
was a good
best answer I could have
response.
gotten, honestly. It's the best answer I could have gotten.
I imagine though, like on a project when you're getting that, no, it's not quite. You would just re-up with a different song, go until
That's
people
right.
are completely
You
happy.
just find something else that works.
That's
and-
right.
I like it, man. I like it, man. Okay, we got these. We proofread these songs this time. We got Myself by Raz, which is a new song, which is gonna be sweet. I'm really stoked for it. We got
Records.
We got
Yes.
Mr. Rabbit by Paul Westerberg,
Oh,
which
yes.
I'm excited to hear. You've talked it up a little bit, so I'm really stoked.
Public domain song reinvented by the lead of the Replacements, Paul Westerberg, as featured in Adam McGowan's film Guest of Honor. See it now at TIFF.
Love
There we go,
it.
right there.
Thank you
Yeah.
for putting that in there. I appreciate you doing my job better than I do. Got David Hayman in studio at CFRA Radio from UTM campus. DriveWire Records, powered by Sound Drive. Did I say everything? Did I get it? Catch us after.
CFRE.
Big love.
Yeah, big love. I'm Carter.
This is
You have
CFRE.
Crawford. You got David Hayman. David's too chill for me, man. The first thing
Honestly.
he's like, whoa, man,
Dude,
you're
I thought we
too
were cool.
high, man.
I thought we were cool,
As
but
soon as we turn it on, he's like, you
no,
guys are
we're
like
not.
pushing the
We're
bravado.
not
You're
cool
like
at all.
too hype. Like, just chill out, guys.
Just take it easy.
Can we try?
Guys, just cool it.
Here.
You know? I got you. Thanks, Yo. Thanks. All right.
This
Recap
is-
us with your
Baseball?
book of
This
domination.
is the part of the show where Larry comes out and sings a silly song. Just kidding. That's from Veggie. This is the part of the show where I get to tell David what I learned, and I actually I learned a lot, and I'm really excited. So thank you for sharing what you shared. I have a vacation happening.
You weren't taking notes?
I take all my men's notes late. Or my see, I already messed it up,
So
so
disrespectful.
my notes mentally,
Fair enough.
I take all my Mets note.
My notes mentally.
Listen, what are you willing to give up to get what you want? So one of the first things I asked you was like, how do you get to do all the things that you do? And you're like, yeah, my body suffers, my family suffers.
They all hate me, my family.
I
like,
eat the
what?
same thing every day. I wear the same
I
thing
do.
every day.
Bagels. I eat Tim Hortons. I'm like a live lunch at one.
Listen, we got one here right on the UTM campus. It's all good. So I really like that you're willing. You know what you want. You have what you're aiming at. You're pushing as hard as you can to get there, and you're sacrificing everything that you need to sacrifice to get in the way. Is that a photo? Am I on photo while I'm talking? I like that. Okay, bring people together. You talk about elevating, man. Your game is elevation. Your game is like, okay, how can I create something great with someone? And then build them for it after I've created greatness. I love
Make
that.
them fall in love and then hit them with the price
I
tag at the
love
end.
that,
Like,
man. But
sorry.
you specifically said, like, I don't want to show up just to get paid. I want to show up to make something happen and then get paid on the back end. And dude, I respect the hell out of that, man.
That's huge.
You're adding value first. Like, they say the only place success comes before hard work is in the dictionary or whatever. Success comes before work is H is before S. Never mind, don't worry about it. The point is.
He pulled a Crawford.
Yeah, I did. Hey, listen,
Make yourself invaluable to the process.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Right. And become so good at it that people want to come to you.
That's right.
And that clearly is what you've done. You have people come to you. You got the Supergroup. People can check you out at thesupergroup.com.
We are the supergroup.com.
Okay, I didn't know if it was .ca or .com. I always mess those up.
.ca.
Yeah. You know what? We have DriveWire Radio, and we had the chat about .ca or .com. And it was
We debated it. We debated
for
it.
like 1 second,
It was
and we
a
all
$30
decided
debate.
I was
.com.
I was the .ca. I'm like, come on, Canada guys. They're like, no, that's not .com. Like,
Your emails will be deleted if you have .ca.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you. Multiply yourself, man. Duplicate. Build a team. You talked about that. Like the first thing you said, you were like,
And have babies.
and have babies.
And have babies, you know. Great babies, though.
Multiplication.
They gonna make you money one day.
Yep.
I'm with it, man. I'm
Feed your
down with
gremlins
it.
after midnight.
That's
Multiplication.
right. Make sure you have people like. The huge thing for me, especially with creative people, is oftentimes creative people don't have the consistency that you and the persistence that you've talked about. So they need guardrails, which is why we have these bros and these beautiful bros in the back who, for us, they're like, no, dude, just do another show, go back, do another one. Like they keep us on track with that.
Yeah.
But these are things that Crawford and I would be doing 17 other things by now if we didn't have two people being like, no, you idiot, do the same thing you did last week, just do it again. That's a team. That it takes people who look at things different, and I love that you're about that, man. I love that.
You legendary shit.
W cubed. You're win-win for the win, man. You're win-win for the win. I love that so much. I went straight to W cubed. Is the first thing I wrote down from that. I like that. You found a way to be in the middle of these two passionate parties. You're the bridge. You're like the troll underneath the bridge. You kind of alluded to.
Don't like the troll, but
I'm the gay. I'm the guy on both sides of the bridge. Yeah.
But you're building value on both sides, and I love that. You're like, I respect the hell out of these filmmakers who have so much passion, and I respect the hell out of these musicians who have so much passion. When I can connect their passion and their art, and it fits right, and it's got the right vibe in it, and they're source songs from the right place, and they're ethnically connected, and they're connected in vibe and source and message and song. You're like in the middle of that, and you're making sure both sides. What did you call it? The oh fuck number, where you're like, you don't want to get like messed up too bad. Like
yeah, it's more of a fuck.
you don't
It's
want
not a hard fuck.
It's not a hard you.
Because you're watching the show and you're like seeing it everywhere, and you're like, oh fuck.
Yeah, so you want to make sure you are compensated for that, man. I also like how you talk about selling out, and you talk about how, look, man, you're not really selling out at all. Every art can be recontextualized. It has new meanings in the future. Like, just go
Get
for
paid.
it. Get
Paid,
paid.
man. Get paid. Get that
huge about
money.
that.
Get that cheese.
Yes.
Yes.
And don't stop if you don't right now, because maybe you can get paid in the future. I think you said the age you are now will not be the age that you are when you're getting sync licenses, and it's a huge investment for the future to create as much music as you can now.
Potentially, it's more of a reason not to be discouraged, because the fans that you are creating now will be the decision makers of tomorrow.
Love it.
Well, yeah.
Love it. The connections, man. Make some connections. Know the people. Have the people down the south in the LA area. Have the people in Toronto. You talked about Chris Conley a couple times. You talked about just a couple different names where, look, I know these people. I like these people. I trust these people. They're bringing me quality music, and I'm going to go back to them more than
Continue
once.
to work with these
It
people.
makes things easier for you to have connections. I like that.
Shout out to my team: Cody, Kaya, Scotty, Adele.
His face warms up when he talks about you guys. He has a lighter tone and
Got a
everything.
smile. It's a big
Yes.
smile. He's
I
very
love my
happy.
people.
You're relaxed.
They're not my
Yeah.
people. I'm theirs. You know, I'm so privileged to have such a fantastic team.
That's cool,
That's
man.
awesome.
I really like that. I respect that, and clearly you respect them. You know, I like how you have clearly begun to learn a ridiculous amount. Like you started to. You don't seem like the nitty gritty kind of person. You're more of creative in my interpretation of you, but you've still given yourself a general understanding of contract law. You know, this is how do I find another skill to make myself better, to get better at and serve value and
Please.
elevate others better and
Yeah.
be that bridge, not the troll, but the bridge. That takes, dedication, and to do the BS that you don't necessarily want to do. Probably learning contract law wasn't fun.
No, but it's not fun if you put it in the right context.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Especially synchronization. It's like
Love
it's a lot of fun to think about how you're going to make something work.
Yeah, and I'm cool with that, man. It's not about the money, it's about making great things happen and then building them on that. So the thing that I liked about that is it's indicating that your focus is not going in to get paid. Your focus is going in to create something really, truly special. And that is the thing that gets you paid on the back end. And I love that, man. How can we get people to focus on value with their art rather than focus on just purely getting paid?
And don't focus on the money.
It's very hard. It is very
It
hard.
is hard.
Yeah.
I struggled for years and years before I could have some kind of moderate success where I'm comfortable-ish. But well, seriously, it's the music industry. It's
Yeah.
very, very hard.
Yeah.
So you have to
Cutthroat, too.
realize the seeds you're planting now
Yeah.
matter. And the seeds you're planting now will grow and they will flourish when the time is right. If you have enough patience and persistence, treat enough people with respect, elevate other people, make those projects great. Even when I find a way to bill on those projects, it's not about gouging. It's not about finding a way to get into their purse strings. It's about being their hero. So the next project, when they budget correctly,
You're coming right back.
I'm
to
coming
you.
right in and I'm a priority.
Yeah, they want you. You don't want them, but they want you.
You
But
have to
it's a-
look at not now, you have to look at the long game of what you want to do. And I think if anybody's interested in this line of business or what, Dom and Francesco are doing and this kind of support, don't go in with a laser focus. Go in to support other people, and through that navigation, you will naturally find what your title will be. Titles are fickle in this business, they don't matter. Helping people elevate craft is what
Is
matters.
what matters. That's
I don't
it.
even need to go
Yeah,
out.
there's
That's
nothing else to say.
ridiculous. I
That's
love
it.
that.
End it.
I have
End it.
so much respect for that vibe.
Wow.
I think that is the same mentality that could make you successful in any industry.
In
And
any
I
industry,
love that
yeah.
you brought it to sharing your music with Sail and AWOL Nation and so many of the other songs.
Yeah.
I really am. Because a lot of the songs that you mentioned, I'm ignorant, man. I'm like, fuck, I don't know these songs that he's mentioning. So I'm going to go back and watch this, and I'm going to pause right on YouTube. I'm going to pause it and be like, go and Google it. And I'm going to hear it. I'm like, yeah, he was right. That did sound sweet. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to like post it myself, going back and like.
Check out Junior T, if we can have some Mississauga love here.
Junior T.
Junior T, he's got his new albums dropping, so many great guests. Sean Leon's one of them, but Junior T is a feature in Explain magazine right now. Shouts to Mississauga, shouts to the hustle, and shouts to people who elevate others, show respect and love, because that's where success comes from.
I think we should cut it there, but I also
CFRE,
want to give them some promo time for the things
DriveWire
that's coming
radio.
up,
No, listen, we're cutting it there. We're cutting it there. That was
there. I don't
too
need
good.
promo.
Your
That
promo
was too
time's
good.
done. I'm
He's
sorry.
too good.
Promo.
David Hayman, Carter Niffin, Andrew Crawford, Sound Drive Records, DriveWire Radio,
DriveWire
CFRE Radio, UTM Campus. Thanks for tuning in.